Yes, I didn't see any debris speak up.
Excellent, so that shouldn't make our bids any more costly. They ought to be able to,
There were a few bodies up under some of them.
well, we don't talk about
Not
that.
enough, not
Okay,
enough.
okay. Should have brought that up.
Our contractor ought to be able to use their bids for an ordinary service line, and
Yeah.
not have to worry about.
What we weren't really doing an official, checking your bulkheads, but since we're doing the side scan, we're watching it. And then usually you'll find a place, especially on where the wooden ones, where the toes of the boards are blown out.
Right,
We didn't see any of that,
great.
and I expected to. So, that's good. But there's not a lot of trash in the water. I would imagine Harvey took care of that for you, probably.
And when we ran the sediment samples too, we ran some geotechnical stuff, so we've got estimates on how much is clay, silt, sand, et cetera. So if Carl Davis, is interested in that kind of thing to see what that material makeup is like, we've got a couple of estimates in here for that.
And the contractor can see what he has to remove to make his bid.
Correct. So you're gonna go back to his question?
Yeah. Near the end of the report, we talk about, the places, upland disposal, and there's a table in there that talks about, there's a number of different disposal methods, and it says, some of them are not feasible because it's just too far away, or, the state actually runs some sediment sites where, they put some of their sediment when they're maintaining, state, or maintaining public facilities and stuff, but they generally don't take private sediment. There are some other options, like Randy was saying, that are coming up. The best option right now are the two permitted facilities that you still have a permit for.
How long are those
What are
permits?
those?
Sorry?
What are those?
Do we have a picture of them?
There's two permitted sites, I'm pretty sure.
How long are those
This-
What's the Omega Bay
Yeah, I think it's right up here.
Yeah.
It's where you
So
put your
Omega
sediment
Bay-
line.
Do it, and,
and the Bahia Vista
Yeah, this is,
on the
Secones.
Secona's property, yes.
so you have two disposal permits from 2007 that they're not active, but they're not inactive either. You could reactivate them. And the reason you have two is because the disposal site for Omega Bay and the disposal site for Bio Vista are different because of the distance limitation. So there's an area up here that we had some constructed marsh, and then in Bio Vista, I believe it's over here, I think. Hand up, hand down.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
It's in
don't know
there.
exactly where,
think
but
it was
it's over here.
Basically, father.
Down here? Yeah, it could be. Oh, Also, originally, we were gonna run some depths in this channel here, but because we're using that 16-foot array, we couldn't get under the bridge. So, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a chainsaw along, but they caught us. What I was gonna say is, one of the other options about disposing of sediment is, you've got some unused volume here. And having 15 feet deep right here, when it's not 15 feet deep right here, and you don't have a lot of circulation, can be a water quality problem. Have you ever had fish kills up here? Every year. What happens is the water stagnates, dissolved oxygen goes down, and it kills fish. One of the ways to do that would be to make this shallower. So take some of the sediments you're putting out here and put it in here. Now, I don't know exactly, you said the mud has no bylaws. I don't know exactly how the thing is set up. You're in cooperation with your neighborhood. I don't know if how it's incorporated. So whether these canals are facilities of the neighborhood, or if you'd have to have every individual landowner along that canal, okay, to dispose of sediment in there. I don't know. But that's a potential problem with doing that.
Would that method improve the oxygen levels throughout? Would you have a better exchange of water in these canals than you do today?
Yeah, because you got less volume. So even if you've only, say you got 1,000 cubic feet of water moving in and out. If this thing holds 1 million cubic feet and you take it to 500,000 cubic feet, you've doubled the the velocity of exchange.
Right.
So that would not only make a difference here, but it would also make a difference here. However, that's kind of a one-time thing though.
Yeah.
Costs.
Well, you get to the
I was just
total
sitting there
volume.
thinking,
the
yeah.
Total volume
It's
for
always
like
about money.
alternative two and then the cost, so.
The total volume, remember alternative one was for 6 feet deep everywhere. And for the whole thing, that's 57,700 cubic yards. And that's 21,467 from BioVista, 36,276 from Omega Bag. For option two, where everything's 6 feet deep plus the entrance channels are 8 feet deep, you go to 65,000 cubic yards, and 26,900 of them are from BioVista, and 36,115 are from Omega Bay. And then the last one, where we're just digging out the entrance channels, that's 8,200 cubic yards, and 5,326 is from BioVista, and only 2,800 is from Omega Bay. But that's because the entrance channel we're talking about on Omega Bay is only that. So we kind of number three, it's in there because, we need it to be complete. You need to know how much it would be, but really that'll help these guys some, although it won't be very many years before you'll have a problem again if you do that. And it won't do anything for Omega Bay to speak of. Well, it'll make it easier. Once you get over the hump right here, it'll make it easier to get out, but getting over the hump is still gonna be tough.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Serves no purpose.
Okay, so, I'm gonna guess and see if I'm right. The two factors that weigh most heavily in determining the cost of the dredging, the bids that we get from contractors, are where we can dispose of the spoil and the total cubic yards of sediment that we want removed. There are other factors, but they are relatively minor.
Yes.
Are those assertions correct?
Exactly. With one addition. You're right, the other factors don't make a difference unless some of these contamination numbers had come up high and it was contaminated sediment, but you don't have that, so it's not a problem. So you're right, those are the two factors that determine the price.
And then the length of a warranty or anything else you might want for,
And where we're dredging bigger areas, the depth you're dredging also matters here, but the difference between 8 feet and 6 feet is nothing. So yeah, it's all how far you gotta pump it and where you put it and how much you gotta take out.
so you might just give for alternative two, which was doing everything, what the costs for each of them were. The estimated cost with, a 20% contingency
right.
in there.
Cost, I didn't get to that.
No, it's, just go ahead and do alternative two for each.
Alternative two, it comes out to $613,171 for BioVista, $825,877 for, I don't know why we went to an individual dollar, they're not that accurate, for Omega Bay. But, so it's about 1.4 million, something like that, total.
And that's for option two.
That's option two. That's moving the most amount of dirt. All the other options are cheaper. Option two is a little bit cheaper. Option three is a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Option three doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Option two is the 8 foot, correct?
Yeah, option two is everything to 6 feet, interest is to 8 feet.
And those tables with more detailed calculations are in the reports.
And obviously, you can mix and match this any way you want to and come up with another option.
And you can provide us with cubic yard silt data so that we can have an idea on cost
Yes.
with other options of our own creation.
Yes, and actually, each
It's already in there.
Each one of these
Yeah, that's in-
tables has the amount of silt coming out of each individual canal. And,
Okay,
yeah,
so
we can actually cut that up finer if you want. You wanna know how much, well, this end and that end, although when you look at the dredge, down here, we're only dredging the end of these canals, because the rest of that canal is 6 feet deep or better already.
So all the information is in there so that people can play what ifs and do whatever scenarios they want, you know, so.
And even if it's not in the table, we have the data, I mean.
So yeah, if
we
you
can
have
give
a
it
couple
to
more
you.
scenarios, we can run them.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm not an expert on it, I've just heard, living in the neighborhood, that there are underground piping through the main channel of Omega Bay. So are you aware of that? There-
If we were going to be trying to dredge this out to 8 feet, we would definitely have to go, to all of the utility things and make sure they're not pipelines that we
Well,
didn't
yeah, I
fill
mean, that's
with.
part of the, that's probably
However-
part of the permitting anyway, is to look at,
Usually a body of water.
Bay addition, is a section, you'll see the empty lots along there, and that's, we do have signs that there's buried lines through that
Yeah,
section.
usually when they go across waters of the state, although this is not designated navigable.
It's going to be somewhere.
Yeah, well,
We're gonna have
wherever it goes.
crossover
They
pipe
usually
between the
bury it
north and south
pretty
sides
far.
of- Cause I thought I saw that in the mud office.
But
that on one of
that's
those, there's
not
a-
always.
From the bottom
The other
to the
thing
side
as
of,
far as the logistics of getting it
no,
done
from, in Omega Bay. If you're looking at them on the map on the right, from yeah, from the top side of Omega Bay to the bottom. I could have sworn there was a pipe underneath one of those main channels.
for all the RGB,
That's-
on the barges or piping.
Well, no, I was meaning an actual utility
Would be shut down
for water and
for some
sewer.
length
And
of
I don't
time.
think that,
You
I don't
mean
think
like
they're running from
access
that
in and
other
out?
side
Yeah,
all
we
the way
would.
back around.
where you shut down the last time they dredged?
Thinking there's one running from top to bottom. I think I saw it on the map down.
I think you'll be able to get around. I mean, if you're dredging a 40-foot channel and he's only taking up 20, you still got 20 to get around.
Before the pipe was bringing it over here though. If you dispose of it in that upland site you were talking about and go all the way across the bayou, yeah, you'll block the bayou. And you can do that. You can, Parks and Wildlife, USGS, NAV district, all of this is navigable, so that's not really a big deal. And you're probably your biggest gripe is gonna come from your neighbor over here that runs his boat launch. But it would be a problem we'd have to take care of.
How long is the process?
Which process, permitting or
The number
dredging?
2
Get it done.
The number
From day
2
one to end.
was estimated to be 44 to 66 days.
Okay. And do you do them simultaneously, or do you do Omega Bay or Bio Vista first, or do you do Omega Bay? I mean, how do y'all,
The suggestion that's in here is to have 2 dredges, one operate,
okay,
and 2 operating at the same time, whether they're operating here and here or not.
okay,
But that cuts down the number of days that
that's what I wanted.
we've got pipelines out in the water.
And that'll all be based on what you guys decide to bid out and the contractor and whether, how many dredges he's got available and how long he wants to take and all of that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah. So, I know we've kind of run
There's
long
many
on
steps
time,
to
but,
this, so, yes,
Yes, sir.
I'll skip one question and ask one of the board. When the report is more widely disseminated, there may be more questions for these guys. Can we have them back, please?
get back or, yeah, well, that or if
2
you,
months, some appropriate time period.
yeah, or just submit your questions too and they can, somebody can consolidate them and then send us and we'll write them back.
Yeah, we
We'll
can.
write you back, providing other figures or whatever if we need to, and then we can go from there if you want another
I
discussion.
can't even remember what all the report was supposed to comprise. No one's touched on funding sources that was part of it, as I recall.
It's mentioned, it's talked about it.
Yeah, we've got that in here, but really right now, there is no funding sources.
Right. But we've got other aspects of it that we might.
Oh, yeah, there's many
have to
aspects
forward
that
or-
we have to move forward with.
Thank you.
One of the things we'll do is we'll leave a copy of this with Sharon, so anyone can go by and fully read it, there's no problem. It's just so many pages to copy, I'll leave it with Sharon.
It's
What's
also
that?
available
Put
electronically.
it on the website?
I don't know, we just have to go through it and see if we got that big.
Is that an ordinary Word document?
We have it as a PDF.
You said that's available
yeah.
electronically,
Is
is
it
that what I
available
heard?
Y'all can put it on the website.
If the board,
Okay.
yeah, we're-
Did I just hear
It's
you
there.
say that's available electronically?
Sorry?
Did I just hear you say it's available electronically?
Sure.
Okay. Through Parsons? Okay. Maybe we can come up with the,
Yeah,
we've,
email me.
we've given a PDF of it to Sharon.
yes.
Yeah, we
Yes,
saw
I
that,
have.
yes.
Sharon can send it to everybody who emails and
Yes.
reads it. I mean,
How large is the file?
In the dredging process, is there any need for the equipment that you have lines going to the property for file and anchoring purposes? Does anybody need to be on the property?
Not generally. Usually the lines are metal ball joints and they're kind of twiddly and they put them on floats. So it follows, it goes out in the water. However, there are anchor points and sometimes they might have to tie to your bulkhead or something like that. But they shouldn't have to go across your property or anybody else's.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was about to ask you any questions for him, but that's all right.
Just to continue, do you have a motion to accept the report? Motion, second. Everybody say aye?
Aye.
Okay. So we accept the report. I'm sorry.
I didn't see who said what. Who voted,
I'll
who
fi-
made the
oh,
motion? Who made the motion?
Carter.
Carter,
Who seconded?
John,
We'll make it available on the website. We'll have to figure out how. If we have that kind of file size, that's stuff we just don't know. In the meantime, we'll have one of these reports in paper form with Sharon, so you can read it until we get on the website.
Right.
No problem with that.
I just handed mine out somewhere out there, somebody has it. All right, moving on.
Is there any, this is an ongoing study, so let's look at it and we'll bring it up again at a future meeting, just as we all can digest it and see what questions we have. There's a lot of, little questions there everybody will individually have on that. All right? Next item is the electrical provider contract proposal. Do you have that?
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary
Yeah,
Boyce
right.
with Flame Energy. Just because there are some new people, I'll kind of give you a background on what it is that we do. We are your energy advisor. We came a couple of years ago. We study the market to find out what's going on, what's causing the rates to fluctuate.
We can't hear you. Excuse me, is there any way we can hear you?
Speak loud.
This is different. Is it okay if I just stand over
Sure,
here?
sure.
Okay. So we're the energy advisor, and what we do is study the market, make recommendations on when the best time to purchase electricity is. Since the last time I was here a couple of years ago, there's been a lot going on in the market. Many of y'all know that we've definitely seen some ups and downs. We are currently seeing some of the lowest rates still in history, even though as we get closer to summer, we have seen a price spike. But that's the downside of it. But if you look overall at the graph that I presented, you can still see that we are at those historic low rates. People ask, can the rates go down further? Yes, they can, but the odds of that are going to be so much smaller than where they can go up. So if you'll keep that in mind, some of the significant losses are due to, back in October, there were 4 coal-generated power plants shut down, which put a big impact. It's going to cut us about 8,700 megawatts short on power this summer. Each of those megawatts represents about 100 homes, so that's a pretty large amount. We have increased drilling. This is about the 7th week in a row. They have added 1 additional rig. We are starting to export more and more liquefied natural gas. So all of those in conjunction are what we are seeing the price increase right now. Your current contract expires at the end of this month, so we have to act quickly. Your current rate is 4.108 cents per kilowatt hour. If you will turn one page, all that is a summary of your current meters. Your annual volume we took the last 12 months, and that's what we send out to your suppliers. So when they bid on that, they're looking at your annual volume, the number of meters that you have, and most of them are only going out 60 months. They do that in 12-month increments. There were 3 suppliers who actually submitted bids today. On that final page, we've actually done a breakout for you. The General Land Office represents the state of Texas. They've been around and they're probably gonna be around for a long time. Some of their rates are a little bit higher, but if you've ever noticed on your electricity bills, you're gonna pay a certain electricity rate, and then there's gonna be a bunch of additional line items. They call those pass-through charges and your line charges. It's gonna be the same thing when you go purchase an airline ticket or something. They wanna charge you extra for your luggage. They wanna charge you extra to pick your seat. As we see these prices increase, we're gonna start seeing a little bit higher pass-through charges. The General Land Office, whatever they pass through to you is at a set amount that does not increase, and they are exempt from certain taxes. Your gross receipts taxes and your PUCT charges. So about 98% of your overall load is within the city limits and exempt from those taxes. I think there are only 2 locations. It's a very small amount. So even though you look at that electricity rate and it seems higher, think about the savings that you're gonna gain overall. So that swing allowance in that second column, that's based on your annual usage. They allow a 25% cushion, if you will. So if you've got a plant running extra 1 month, if you go 2 months consecutive over that 25, they have the option of passing through additional charges. If
Okay,
you are
that's what the
under,
swing is.
yes, if you're under 25, it's the same thing. They're not as nitpicky, so they say 25%. If y'all were to add a new facility later on down the road, that would probably maybe be more than 136, 137,000, we would set that up as a separate contract to keep you within those limits. So, if you'll look at that, the General Land Office listed their rates out to 60 months. Hudson Energy came in with the lowest rates and the lowest budget impact. So the rates that you're seeing today are greater than what you're currently paying. So we tried to do this to show you how much additional you are gonna be spending compared to with your current contract. So
But with Hudson Energy and the lower one there, you said there's pass-through charges.
yes,
So
Hudson and Engie.
is that figured into, the spread here?
Yes, it is.
Those charges are figured into that, okay?
Yes, they are. So, I tried to go back on that first page, if you will. I believe Sharon had also inquired with the General Land Office to see what quotes y'all would be able to get directly without going through a broker. So what we're looking at is Hudson Energy has the least budget impact on you. And if you look at the current price, the 4.108, which you're currently paying, starting June 1st, that rate jumps all the way up to 6.08 cents per kilowatt hour. We've been seeing this probably since February. The prices continue to go up. If you'll notice, the farther out you go, the lower the rates get. That's because there were scheduled power plants that were supposed to go online this year. Those have been delayed due to construction problems, probably some of the hurricane issue, some of the EPA rulings and so forth. So all of those take into consideration the rate that you're gonna be paying upcoming. Today's rate was actually $2.87 per million British thermal units. That is how they
BTUs.
value. So looking at that graph, we're up here, whereas next year you can see where it starts to decrease. And again, can the rates go down? Yes, they can, but it's less likely to go down than it is to increase. And we look at these in 5-year increments forward and historically. So it would be our recommendation to pick which is gonna have the least budget impact for you. And if you're not building out or something, I would suggest going as long-term as you can to get the better value. And again, these rates would be effective June 1st because you'll finish up your current contract, which is with the general land office.
Right,
So,
with Jill.
and that is all I have unless you have any additional questions for me.
Well, electricity's all the same, it's all about the cost, right?
Yep.
Doesn't matter, as long as it's reliable. I'll give somebody else to take care of that.
Now, there's been additional wind generation that's gonna make up about 20% of the grid. It's not as reliable. Therefore, if that 20%, what they're considering in storage, does not pan out or sustain our demand, which if you stop and think, demand's gonna increase about 7% year over year. And until we get those additional power plants online, the prices can't go up further. They'll have to start looking for additional sources for electricity.
And what was
Alright.
your recommendation again?
I would recommend going out long-term.
With Hudson,
If you're
yeah.
comfortable 48 or 60 months, that's where your rates start going down. It's budget certainty. We don't know that those power plants are gonna come online later on this year. They are expecting them further out, which is why you see the rates decrease.
If they were to come online, what would you predict the rate change would be?
Based on what we're seeing right now, let's say in the 6-cent range, the lower 6.
So relatively close to where we're at, just a very subtle decrease.
Yes, you're talking 100th or 1,000th of a cent.
Oh, okay.
But when you look at your volume and multiply that out, it starts increasing quickly. Our fee is built into this rate. It's about 0.4 cents per kilowatt hour.
Good, you answered my question, because I was about to ask. Okay, so, this is total package, we're seeing total cost here.
That is
So
your
your fee
electricity
plus-
rate.
right.
You're gonna see your center point charges
Mhm.
because it costs to get it through the
Right.
lines.
Yep, pay for that.
But that's pretty much
Okay.
what you're seeing.
All right.
Will you
President?
take, the contract has to be renewed, will you take care of the contract renewal, or do we have to take care
Usually
of
what
the?
happens, if y'all make a motion, let's say 24 months, what we'll do, the rates are good until 5 o'clock, so I would ask that you set a not to exceed amount. 5% is standard. That may sound like a lot, it's a fraction of a cent. So we would send this over to Michael Bacon's office tomorrow morning, once we get a contract drawn up. They've already pre-approved the general land office contract because we use them quite a bit. Hudson, we just include a couple of riders saying they won't boycott the Israeli, and that there's one other rider that they're gonna wanna glance at, approve it. And then if someone is available for signature, we can either email that to you or do it DocuSign, or you just type your name in and it automatically sends a signal to the supplier to lock that rate in at that time.
What do you mean boycott the Israeli?
Yeah, I was just kinda, yeah.
It's one of the new House bills that was passed this year, earlier this year.
Which means,
With everything going on, I think what just recently happened with Iraq and the natural gas situation, we're going to be exporting more as a world figure. The Israeli boycott means that if anything happens, our current suppliers will not be a part of that. They are purchasing this power for you as far out into the future as you're going to go. And they're not going to hold you penalized or accountable. They still have to regardless supply this to you.
I would hope so. We're signing into a legal agreement at a
Absolutely.
certain rate, and it should not be changing, right?
And that's why they made it into a House bill.
Okay,
Thoughts? No, I'm sorry. No.
Nope, no, go
Mr.
ahead.
President, go on.
I was just saying that, do we have a motion to accept, the Hudson?
Well, don't we have to pick one? Don't we have to pick one of the
That's what
three?
I'm saying, do you have a motion to pick one, to accept one?
Well, I think we need to discuss it. Myself, I think since we probably won't be building out, I mean, me personally, I'd probably go with 60 month.
I agree, but which one of the two?
I'm thinking, I mean, the Hudson Energy, that's the cheapest. Electricity's electricity.
Except for pass-through. Could the
She
pass,
said that the pass-through charges were, being part of this number, correct?
Okay, so what I did was I also included, if you'll look at that first page,
Right.
I did the Hudson rates for you.
Okay.
And then I also did the comparison with the general land office. If you'll look, that 60 months, there is only 1% difference. So I mean, if you still want the lowest rate, I would say that. You're at less risk.
And we're currently using GLO now?
Yellow.
Yes, you are.
All right, yeah. Everything's been fine with that, it's all been, no problems, everything's fine. I'm good with that myself.
yellow for 5 years?
Yeah, I'm good with that, sure. Sure, why change if, if it's not broke?
You know, they're not gonna go insolvent or anything.
Yep. Makes sense. Let's stay by with GLO, right?
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Motion, motion,
I'm make a motion to stay with the GLO.
Eric makes a motion to stay with GLO for 5 years, second.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And do y'all want to put the stipulation that if the rate changes overnight, not to exceed that 5%?
Yeah, I think that's good.
And will someone be available to sign tomorrow?
Yes, we'll be able to sign tomorrow.
Okay. Sharon, we
Sharon
will
will-
send that to you. Okay. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is the, just the minutes. Get this out of here so we can look at it. The minutes of the previous meeting of April 16th and May 16th. Bob?
I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Neither did I.
We didn't discuss, I would say we could approve them as presented.
Okay.
Yep.
Bob moves that the regular meeting for the April 16th be approved as presented. Second?
Second.
Porter seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And the same thing, we'll look at the other board, the special meeting on May 16th.
Correct.
Bob moves, Porter seconds. All say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes. Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is the operator's report. One of the things that, one of the things I've asked is that Mr. Prince is very familiar with operations because he works at Valero in their maintenance department. So he'll kind of be over help the operations, and him and Randy will be presenting the report. So we're now going to hear the operations report based on the information we have.
I guess currently, I spoke with Randy this afternoon about the operations over there, and we had some questions. Randy is here with some concerns regarding your new non-potable water system. You wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, we spoke about the non-potable
Right.
water, and we had a few concerns about having to clean it so often with the rags.
Right.
Parade is catching on.
Was there anything else that we're concerned about? Because like I said, you gotta clean it daily. It's causing more work for y'all.
Yeah,
That's taken away from what you gotta do, on your daily clean.
the correct nozzles
Yes, that's
and everything for
Right.
it, that we're working on that with the
Right.
engineer.
Okay.
And hopefully we might get that part up, and once we start on the plant, rebuilding it, then maybe we can get that corrected on the non-pot.
Okay. I mean, everything else is pretty much standard across the board here.
Correct.
I mean, I'm learning as I go with y'all, so, we'll meet more often. Your work orders, we talked about all that already. But overall, we just moving forward, correct? And, we'll be talking to the engineers, regarding the, fine screen?
Yes,
Okay.
and the rehabilitation of the plant.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the operation report? Have a motion? Second?
Second.
Do we have any reports of
Okay.
the outstanding service orders? It's on the agenda.
Outstanding service orders.
Yeah.
What I have in here is, actually, Randy could probably explain that much better than I could, so.
We have all the work orders, everything, a summary of what we have completed and everything in place.
Okay, but we don't get that. Is there any way to get the director's packet put on the website before the meetings? Because all of these reports are not available to
So
citizens.
that would not be
to look.
official.
Hardly.
Not, we can put it on there because they're not official.
But we don't know what y'all are talking about. You've got the background.
It's not official.
But
I will have to talk to Mr. Bacon, because that's what he told me, because that's the question that was presented to me. And he said, if we give out any information prior to the meeting, none of it is official.
Well, I'm just saying this, Sharon, because it's easier for us to follow along, and I know the city of Lamarck does it. They produce their agendas, and they put them on the website.
But we have to talk to Mr. Bacon.
Okay, so maybe he might want to talk to the attorney of the city.
I will talk to Mr. Bacon.
Question on the work orders. On meter warranties, I know we still have some of the meters that are not being read automatically when they drive around. Where,
But you're wrong now, because we just finished 80 of the registers and we did everything. We had 99%
okay,
on the meter reading for Omega Bay.
Okay.
And also over here, we had 2 meters that we didn't get one here.
Okay.
So we've corrected it.
okay, we have, okay, I was just wanting to know where we stood with that.
Yeah, you can always
Okay.
ask me, okay?
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay. Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next we're going to have is the engineer's report. The engineers have been reporting the design of the water and wastewater plant that we're currently passed a bond about. So that's what the report's about.
Okay, please as a board, basically, we have met twice now with Bob and Randy.
Could you scoot around just so everyone could hear you?
We have, met a couple of times since the last board meeting, with Randy and Bob and Bill, and, to go over the details of the project with the drawings and the specifications. They had some questions, comments, and quite good comments. We have incorporated all their comments, and we are basically ready to bid the project. But it will take the new board's approval and acceptance prior to advertising. We have not advertised, we haven't called the paper yet. It takes about a week, once we notify the paper, to get the ad in the paper. So, I've presented a schedule in my report where we advertise for bids on May 31st and June 7th. We would have pre-bid meetings, 2 of them, June 12th and June 14th. And we have put in the bid that those be mandatory bid meetings, so that a contractor must attend one of those meetings to be eligible to bid. We wanted to make sure we got some good experienced contractors. Then we would receive bids on June 26th. Now that's after the June meeting, but at this time, there's no way to make the June meeting with a credible bid. So we're gonna have to actually recommend award in July right now if the board wishes to proceed with a bid at this time. And, so that's where I leave that project. And this is the fine screen project. This is the rehab project. This is the project Randy was saying we really need to get done to help the non-pot system function properly. It's all about the screen, the fine screen being added, and getting the aeration basin cleaned out so that the debris doesn't wash all the way through the plant. So that's where we stand on it. So that's before the board, whether you want to proceed with the bid or table it till the board has time to review the project or wishes to, critique it in any way. The next subject is drinking water taste and odor control investigation. There really hasn't been any change since the last meeting. I'm still waiting to hear from the other board wanted me to make sure that other customers that were using chlorine dioxide were happy with it, and I haven't been able to get them to respond back yet. I'm working on it, but they are just not in a very responsive mood right now. I mean, everybody's probably real busy. So I will try to make a few more phone calls. They do use it a lot around this area, especially down in the valley. They use it a lot for taste and odor. So we'll see if we can get some more response from them, the actual users, the operators, that can tell us how successful or how beneficial it's been for them. Past experience, I know it's a very beneficial process for eliminating taste and odor when you're blending water.
I've heard from many residents here, they're fairly concerned about adding any more chemicals already.
Right.
Me personally, I'm not too keen about it. I'm definitely not for it.
I understand, and again, it's another chemical just to improve taste and odor.
Yes, exactly. We
The,
don't know enough about it, there's not enough information here, me personally, to even consider it myself. So.
is there any instructions on what you would like to see that we can provide you? Is there any more information you would want to see?
I'd like to see the plans. I've never once seen the plans, I'd be able to sit down with Randy and go through this and talk about it and discuss it.
Well,
I've never seen any of the plans.
yeah,
I mean,
we haven't
we're new
been-
to the board, of course, so,
Well-
so we need a lot more, so, I think. I
The
feel-
board will need to authorize us to produce plans. All we've been authorized to do was do a preliminary conceptual study. And that's all that was. There was no preliminary design plans authorized for this project.
What?
This is just a preliminary evaluation and study. That's all that was given to us to do.
Last meeting, I could have swore you said it was 80% complete, and we're gonna have it here at 100% complete.
No, not this project. No, sir. No, sir.
That's the wastewater, that's the.
That's the wastewater rehab.
Wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
No, this is the chlorine
Oh, I'm
dioxide
sorry.
taste and odor
I'm sorry.
project.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking at you, I'm like, what? Wait a minute now. I'm like, no, okay, all right.
You on the same page now?
I was always on the same page, sir.
Okay.
I got it.
So the drinking water taste and odor control investigation, we're still waiting to get more information from operators, and when I get that, I will present it to you. For the wastewater treatment TBDS discharge permit renewal, that is still in the TCQ's hands. They're still reviewing it, and we don't know when they will be done with their technical review. When they do that, it will have to go before 2 30-day advertisements so that it can be accepted by the public.
How long do we have before the permit is out? I forget.
What was it, 6 months after March?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
November.
They've had it before March, so it'd be, November sometime.
It's gonna take a minute to run out.
No. And Randy, they have been running a few months behind
Yeah.
the TCQ themselves. with their orders. So,
Bill, as far as the plans and specs for the wastewater treatment plant rehab, is it at the district office, is it at the office? There's a set, available to the board.
I brought Bob a couple of sets. So,
Okay, there's a set
Whether
of
they've kept-
the completed plans.
Yes.
Yep, for the
Were they the review
wastewater.
ones or the final?
I have not sealed any plans yet.
No, we haven't, because
No, there's
I know
nothing
that,
sealed.
I mean,
Right.
which plans, I'm asking which plans they.
Oh, I gave Bill and Randy the latest set last time, which was May 3rd. One thing I do need, and I didn't bring more than one copy, but I sent an email to Randy and Bob and Bill about approving the plant sign. We had discussed a plant sign being added at the wastewater plant, you know, to talk about the odors that may be generated.
Once we start the project,
Right.
we're gonna erect some signs. You can show.
But I
I've
need y'all
seen
to kind of look at the wording and make sure that
I've
that's
seen
not misleading.
It's included in your packet.
Oh, it's in there, okay.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
If you would, look over the wording of that sign, make any changes or comments so that it could be accommodating to your constituents and to the district, so that we don't, during the rehab, it's gonna generate some odors, because we gotta turn down some processes. And we don't want them to be alarmed, so.
Right. Regarding the wastewater, so we're on the same page, there was concerns about adding some valves and bypasses and doing some isolation work prior to.
The ones we spoke of on the clarifiers and the variation.
Right.
And that's on these new plans that you have?
Yeah, they were on the other plans, but they were on two separate drawings. One by the clarifiers and one by the aeration basin. Now they're on one drawing.
Got it on one drawing
It's
now.
on the clarifier drawing, and it talks about the 2 valves at the clarifiers and the 3 valves at the aeration basin, and then another valve added for the tie-in.
Okay, I need to look at them then,
Okay.
because I haven't seen them.
I will send a PDF down for you on that.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right.
Randy and Bill and I sat in with Mr. Rackley on going over these, and Randy, you're satisfied with,
Well, the ones that he hasn't finished back, you remember we talked about the finished ones that he was gonna give us the last meeting? I haven't
Oh.
seen them. Those are the ones I was talking about, I haven't seen them yet.
the ones with the valves?
Yes.
You wanna, yeah, I'll get you a PDF of that.
Yeah. But if he includes those on the drawing, like we discussed at the previous meetings, what my question is, are you satisfied with the way the project is laid out, the time frame and the sequence of events?
Once I see them, and like I say, if
Yeah.
it's what we spoke of, yes.
Right.
I just wanna make sure that we have it correct, you know, we've tried a couple of times, and it hasn't been completed all the way.
You got that, Bill? Make
Yeah.
sure he gets it.
Any other questions?
Any questions? I have some concerns. I have some concerns.
I have a question for Lydia. Remember this one, you said something about delaying the start of this?
Oh, you're talking about the project?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought we could just kind of talk about that hand in hand when we go over the financials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
That's okay.
that's fine.
Well, gentlemen, I have some concerns regarding the cost of this project. We have done some homework, and we're concerned for the cost. I have spoken with Randy, and, if he has some questions, concerns.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
I'm concerned about the cost for this project. I feel they're too high, it's too high, okay? We're a small community, and we need to spend our money wisely. And, Randy and I spoke a little bit about it. We have not had an opportunity to look at the plans at all. I understand we're new to the board and all, okay? And so we need to be afforded some time here to actually review it, okay? And some, spend some time with us. I would like to motion table this right now.
Okay.
Not,
Table it.
not move forward with it.
Okay, was your motion to table it indefinitely or for a date?
Until next meeting, so we can
Okay.
get some more information, we can review, we can, spend some time together and actually, really talk about this.
So we have a motion to table this discussion till the next meeting, to give time for John and Randy and everyone to understand what we're doing. Is there a second? Carter seconds it. Everyone's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand. Aye. Anyone opposed?
I think we said in the second meeting, I think, really, I mean, what is our goal as far as we're looking going forward with this? I mean, when we say there's outstanding costs that we don't like, have we all looked at, they published some of this beforehand, so have we looked and we said what exactly we're objecting to cost-wise?
Well, that's what we need to look at. We need to look at
can't-
the actual plans themselves and actually,
Right,
see some
but
costs, right?
because of the Open Meetings Act, we can't sit down and discuss this before the next meeting, so instead of tabling it till next meeting, did we want to set up like a workshop meeting between now and then so we can actually, it can be discussed in a
We're-
public forum?
That's about to come up.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yep. Okay, so the motion is passed to table the engineering, report until the next meeting, all right?
That was the question I just asked, though. What is the next meeting? Are we going to have a special called meeting for this, to where we can discuss it in an open workshop, or is it going to be?
We were discussing having a workshop, what was the, we were discussing June 13th, was it?
June 18th, June 18th is the next meeting. We'll openly discuss it then. And at that time, John and Randy will at least have time to go over the prints and say, here's what we agreed to and don't agree, where's
Okay.
the objections and stuff.
Right, then we
Because
talk
that's
about
gonna-
much greater detail, so we're.
So
I
we
was going to say, that's going to be a lot of time for, so I just want to make sure.
Right,
Okay,
right.
no problem.
Yeah.
That's June
Will the
18th, you
public
said?
be able to review it during that time also?
I don't see why not.
What's that?
They had a question, if the public can review the, plans also.
Everything should be available to be reviewed, yes. We're not,
Yeah, well, Mr. Bacon, when asked for a copy of the report that was reported as being delivered, he said it didn't exist, which wasn't a true statement at that time, so we will make it will be available this time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we're moving forward. It will be available. Yes, sir.
That's a very good question. And your answer is yes, it'll be totally open because we want to make sure our money,
Yep. This is your money.
this is your money.
This is all of our money.
Yeah, so it's, we want to lower taxes and better water.
Yes, we do.
That's our goal.
Yes, we do. We gotta make some very smart choices here.
All right, next item on the agenda is the, accountants, sub bookkeeper, Lydia. And so Lydia's got some very interesting things to discuss. So we'll turn the floor to Lydia and to Bob.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that I'm recommending that we have a workshop to go through the financial information. So today, I'm just going to go over what I normally do, very cursory. You may not understand everything, but we can go into more detail when we have the workshop. I've thrown out some dates of when I would be available, and I was thinking sometime the week of June 11th that we could do that, and we can go into more detail on what all the reports that I provide for you every month. Also to go through, I brought with me today some information with regards to tax rates as it relates to the bond authorizations that was voted on last month, or earlier this month, and we can talk about that as well, and I'll hand these things out. So today I'm gonna do what I normally do, and so if we can just very quickly, we'll go through the packet that you have. I asked Robin to number each page on the top right-hand corner, so I can just say, look at page 1, page 2. So the first page that you have here is just a basic summary of your cash position. Okay, everybody wants to know what they have in the bank. So page 1 is basically representing your summary by your different funds, the general fund, your debt service fund, your capital projects fund, which at this moment is basically doesn't have any activity. And then the TA stands for your tax account, which is actually part of the debt service. And we use this for me to identify any transfers of funds between the funds, mostly coming out of the tax account. So for example, in the month of April, there was just a small amount of taxes that were collected in the month of April, but we do have some larger transfers to make
and it has to be approved by the board. I'm recommending that we move 25,000 from the tax account to the general fund and 30,000 from the tax account to the debt service fund. That will leave us a balance of about 36,000 in the tax account, and we should be getting some more taxes collections between now and the end of June before the delinquent attorney fees kicks in, which is on July 1st. So I'll need a board approval to transfer those funds when I finish here. The second page is your investment report, and it basically identifies where you have your money and how much is in each one of the accounts, identified by which fund it's in. Basically, you have your monies in two types of institutions. You have it in the Texas First as a checking account, so they'll be identified as Texas First Bank, and the other one is Tex Pool, which is a state government pool that is managed, and basically for every dollar you put in there, they basically secure it by the dollar. So, but it gives you a little bit interest earnings than you would if you just had it sitting in the checking account over at the bank. It also tells you, this schedule also tells you how much of your funds are secured with FDIC coverage, and how much is secured with pledged collateral by the bank. You are required, all districts, municipalities are required to have securities to pledge anything over and beyond your FDIC coverage, and of course you only have $250,000 per financial institution. So anything over 250 has to be collateralized that you have held over at Texas First Bank. So this tells you that you've got pledged security, so that the event that anything happens to the bank, you are covered. You do have one CD of $125,000 over at Hometown Bank. Of course, that's also covered by FDIC coverage. So you'll get this every month. Then the third page that I provide you is basically the summary report that we get from the tax office, Galveston County Tax Office, Cheryl Johnson's office. And the critical part here is just to see where you all stand at the end of where we are today, which is the end of April. And you see that I've highlighted or I've circled two numbers. Your total collections through the end of April for both debt service and general fund is around $624,000. You assessed a levy of $663 for the year, and so at the end of the year, you only have about $38,000 that is still owed on the current year's taxes, which represents a 94% collection rate. So that's pretty good. Between now and the end of June, we will probably get up to about 96. July 1 is when the delinquent tax attorney fee of 15 or whatever percent it is kicks in. And so usually we get the biggest chunk collected by the end of June. I expect that the collection rate at that point should be about 96, 90, somewhere around 96%. Our fiscal year end is September 30th. They'll just kind of dribble in between now and the end of the year. We should get up to about 97, 97 and a half, maybe even 98% collection on just the current year's taxes. So that's kind of what we shoot for. And I point that out because in the analysis that the financial advisor provides us and for the tax rate for the bond, is they use 95% collection rate, just FYI. Okay, the financial statement section, which is probably more than you want to see, and we'll go into more detail when we do our workshop next month. But the general fund, of course, is the one that we focus the most on. Debt service